Okay guys, weather is still beautiful. I'm still talking. I hope you're enjoying these videos. I hope you're learning. If you have questions, feel free to email us at info@sternberglawgroup.com. My name again is Joshua Sternberg, principal attorney at Sternberg Law Group here in Los Angeles, California. In this video, I want to discuss what happens if my second mortgage forecloses. Again, in a previous video, I did explain that second mortgages can foreclose. If you're interested in looking at that video, you should find it in our library. I think it should be titled, Can a Second Mortgage Foreclosed? Spoiler alert, the answer is yes. If a second mortgage forecloses, what happens? That's what we're covering in this video. The biggest thing that happens is that they're responsible for your first mortgage. But let me be careful about how I use that word responsible, okay? The first mortgage still remains in your name. So there can be a scenario where a second mortgage forecloses, the first mortgage still survives, is still attached to the property. You're probably not gonna wanna pay your first mortgage because you no longer own the home. So then you're relying on the second mortgage to make either monthly mortgage payments or pay off that loan in total. If they don't make the monthly mortgage payments, it could actually affect your credit derogatorily because that is your loan. The big picture, the part I want you guys to understand, is that when a second mortgage forecloses, they become responsible to pay off the first. So in their analysis about whether or not they're going to foreclose on your property, they have to look at what the first is. That's their biggest concern. That's why you have to be careful talking to second mortgages if you're at risk of foreclosure, because what's the first question they're always going to ask you? Well, how much do you owe on your first? Not only are they going to ask you how much you owe on your first, they're going to then ask you to send you proof of how much you owe on your first. And I would be careful doing that before you consult with an attorney, okay? So in this video, this is going to be a shorter one. I just want to explain to you that if a second mortgage forecloses, they are responsible for the first, but unfortunately, you are no longer the homeowner. One other thing I'd like to point out is that a lot of times when a foreclosure takes place, this is specific in California where our foreclosures are done non-judicially by a foreclosing trustee, and it's called a trustee sale, is a lot of times nobody bids on the property because they're concerned about buying a foreclosure from a second foreclosure position or second foreclosure lien, because they don't know how much the first is. They don't know what they're getting themselves into. If I go buy that home on the court steps, I become the second mortgage. I step into the shoes of the second mortgage. I have no idea what that first is. Is the first a lot? Is it little? Is it in default? Has there been a loan modification? There's a bunch of different stuff I don't know. So people who buy homes, buy foreclosures, I should say, on second lien foreclosures are a little bit risky. Right? I was gonna say aggressive, but they're a little bit risky because they're taking the risk of the unknown that's in first position here, okay? So if nobody bids, or it's unlikely that somebody's gonna bid, the foreclosure still goes through, but the ownership of the home reverts back to the second position, which is called the beneficiary. So the second mortgage becomes the owner of the home. If the second mortgage is a bank, which it typically is, that then becomes a bank-owned property, okay? The same as if the first mortgage forecloses, nobody bids, it becomes a bank-owned property. That's what you see quite a bit with second mortgages. So if you're really trying to analyze a second mortgage foreclosure, one way to analyze it is that a third party is probably not gonna buy it. A lot of times there's no bid, which means it reverts back to the owner. A lot of this is very intricate. Got to get down to the details, the nuts and bolts, the minutia of things, because it depends on lien amounts, property values, things on title. So just take this as sort of a general point, is that second mortgages can foreclose. Second mortgages then are responsible for the first mortgage, and more likely than not, or more likely than you see in a first lien position, you're going to see a second mortgage revert back to the beneficiary, which means it becomes bank owned. Okay, I hope that helps. If you have questions, put them here or email me. My personal email is my initials, so js@sternberglawgroup.com, or you can find us online at sternberglawgroup.com or call us 310-270-4343. Okay, hope everybody's having a great day. Stay good. If you have questions, let me know.